Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we sift through the noise, stack up the sources, and extract the most important insights to get you truly well-informed, quickly. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating world of graphic design. We've got a comprehensive source that's going to guide us through its foundational principles and practical applications, offering, I think, a really fresh perspective on a field that shapes so much of our daily lives.
And it's vital to understand right from the start that graphic design is far more than just making things look pretty. It's a profoundly powerful problem-solving tool, omnipresent in our daily lives, often to the point where we barely notice it.
Right, until it goes wrong.
Exactly, until it fails. Think about the infamous butterfly ballot from Palm Beach County back in 2000. It's such a stark illustration of how poor design can lead to catastrophic real-world consequences, like voters accidentally picking the wrong presidential candidate just because of a confusing layout.
Wow, yeah, that's a powerful example. So our mission today is to equip you, our listener, whether you're just intensely curious, maybe exploring a new career path, or even grappling with a specific design challenge right now, with a solid framework for understanding and appreciating design.
Yeah, we want to pull out those key insights and maybe some surprising facts that really make the topic click for you.
And what's particularly unique about our source material, Graphic Design for Dummies, is its underlying philosophy. It seems written with this empowering belief that design decision-making skills can be cultivated by everyone.
Right, regardless of their artistic background or any prior experience. It's not just for those who call themselves designers. It's for all of us, as lifelong learners.
And speaking about this book,
Yeah.
our source really emphasizes its broad appeal. If you've got an immediate design problem, you don't have to start at page 1, right?
Not at all. The book encourages a flexible, non-linear approach. You can literally jump straight to the chapter that's most applicable to your immediate need.
Which totally aligns with our own goal.
Yeah.
Giving you that quick yet thorough knowledge right when you need it.
It's designed as a versatile resource. Whether you're a student seeking a structured guide, someone exploring graphic design as a potential career, or just a motivated individual wanting to teach themselves new skills, the book has content tailored for you.
And the table of contents and index make that navigation super practical, reinforcing that accessible nature.
Definitely.
Now, let's talk about some foolish assumptions the author wants us to shed. First off, they challenge the idea that this content is only for graphic designers. They genuinely lean into the belief that we are all lifelong learners.
Which is great. It sets such an inclusive tone for this deep dive, welcoming anyone who wants to better understand the visual world around them.
And it's a great way to combat that initial self-doubt many people feel when approaching a new discipline, isn't it?
Absolutely. The author gives a powerful warning. Comparison can be the thief of a job. They strongly encourage you not to be too hard on yourself, especially when you're just starting out or beginning this learning journey.
Yeah, that mindset fosters a much healthier and more productive learning environment, moving away from that unproductive self-criticism.
Right.
And here's the truth that resonates with anyone who's ever tried to create anything. Creating something is always a messy, chaotic, and uneasy process. It's rarely a clean, linear path.
That's so true. And the practical advice here is so simple, yet so powerful. If you find yourself stuck, just walk away for a few hours. Go eat, rest, do something else entirely, and then return with fresh eyes.
Yeah, more often than not, that's exactly what you'll need to get unstuck and see your project anew.
This leads perfectly into another crucial insight. Don't expect your first ideas to be your best ideas. The author provides a compelling example from their own experience as a logo designer. They might sketch, get this, between 150 thumbnail sketches before they even think about touching a computer.
Wow, 50 to 150. That really illustrates the depth and iterative nature of the creative process.
It's definitely not like making instant noodles, is it? It highlights that good design isn't about quick execution. It involves thinking, playing with, deconstructing, discovering, and evolving ideas.
And the implication is clear. Rushing the process truncates your design solution's potential. You're leaving so much uncapped creative potential on the table if you don't allow for that messy, iterative exploration.
Right. Moving on, our source also explains the icons used within its pages. These are just quick visual cues designed to help you navigate the content efficiently. For example, there's a warning icon.
But don't worry, it's not about dire threats.
No. The author clarifies these are practical pieces of advice meant to save you from as many headaches as I can, making your learning process smoother and hopefully less frustrating.
Exactly. While the source explicitly details the warning icon, it implies others like tips or reminders to give you a sense of the structured learning experience.
Yeah.
It's all about making complex information digestible and user-friendly.
What's also fascinating is how the source extends beyond the book. It mentions a cheat sheet available online with helpful links for further exploration.
Ah, perfect. That really aligns with the shortcut to being well-informed aspect of our deep dive, providing avenues for continued learning.
And it gets even better. They reveal there's additional content and even full chapters available online. This emphasizes that even our depth dive today is just scratching the surface of a truly rich body of knowledge.
Wow. And they list specific extra chapters like designing together, selected strategies for a successful design solution, avoiding common mistakes. Quite a few, actually.
Yeah, testing your skills and solving design problems, accepting project constraints and feedback, and practicing how to critique. It's a clear invitation for continued learning beyond this conversation.
And they conclude this introductory section with a profound and surprising insight. To start your graphic design career, all you need is a pencil.
It's such a powerful counterpoint to the allure of, the fancy computer and software. The secret, they reveal, is to always start with a pencil to maximize your time.
That's so important. It's because ideas come from you, not from the technology itself. Computers are primarily for execution once the idea is formed, not for generation, right?
Exactly. This really sets a foundational understanding of where a designer's true creativity originates, from the mind through the hand onto the paper first.
Okay, let's unpack this and dive into part one. Before you start designing, starting with the fundamental question, what is graphic design?
Well, the source begins by presenting a core belief. Design is an instrument of organization, a means of relating objects to people, a medium for persuasion, and a way for humans to cope with the complexity of daily life.
It's an incredibly broad and impactful definition.
It really is. The author challenges us, as listeners, to simply look around right now and count no less than 10 things created by graphic designers. Think about it. From the tiny laundry logo inside your shirt to the operating system on your mobile phone, and even the cover design on the book we're referencing right now, design is truly everywhere.
And it often goes unnoticed until it fails, as we mentioned with the butterfly ballot.
But our source quickly pivots to emphasize that design is not defined solely by its failures, but is celebrated for its many successes. It has profoundly shaped our world by enhancing communication, influencing mass media, building powerful brands, and driving marketing strategies.
And beyond that.
Beyond that, it plays a crucial role in cultural and social expression, contributes significantly to the economy, enriches education and learning, and champions environmental and social responsibility. Ultimately, it enhances how we understand and interact with the world around us.
Okay, so the core definition we're working with for graphic design is the art and practice of planning ideas and experiences using visuals and text, used in branding, advertising, web design, print media, essentially to convey information, evoke emotions, and guide visual interactions.
Precisely. And when you step into this fascinating discipline, as the author calls it, you realize the designer's role is incredibly multifaceted. You're embodying so many different hats: artist, hustler, risk-taker, mathematician, creator, innovator, collaborator, typographer, scientist, composer, iconographer, technology guru, social observer, businessman, and so much more.
It really highlights the dynamic and interdisciplinary nature of the field. So many skills involved.
With such a broad scope, it makes sense that graphic designers often specialize in a particular aspect of design and hone their skills. Our source gives us several common examples of these specializations: branding, digital design, exhibition design, illustration, logo design, motion graphics, packaging design, print design, and web design.
Shows you how deep you can go within the field. This naturally leads to a common question for anyone considering a career. Is a degree necessary? Our source gives a nuanced, short answer. It's not strictly necessary.
Right. But while not strictly required, a degree does offer big advantages. A credentialed program provides structured learning in core design principles, typography, theory, and essential software skills.
Plus the networking.
Exactly. Networking opportunities, access to expensive design labs, software, printing resources, and perhaps most importantly, graphic design critiques. These critiques are incredibly valuable for improving your work and are difficult or, pretty expensive to replicate independently.
But if you're a self-motivated individual, there are absolutely alternative paths.
Hmm.
The source mentions online courses, tutorials, books, freelancing for practical experience.
And even starting in entry-level positions for on-the-job learning. So while a degree offers a lot of advantages and can certainly expedite your graphic design journey, it acknowledges that some really good designers have entered the discipline through other means. You can forge your own path.
Okay, so let's talk about evaluating freelance and agency experience. For graphic design graduates, the common career paths are usually agency work, entrepreneurship freelance, or pursuing graduate studies.
And the source then breaks down agency structures, differentiating between small, mid-sized, and large agencies.
Okay, so small agencies.
They often focus on niche markets, are very agile, and tend to have close client relationships. Mid-sized agencies have a broader client base and are more structured than small ones, but maybe not as specialized as the large players.
And the large agencies.
Large agencies, on the other hand, boast extensive resources and specialized expertise, tackling high-profile and complex projects. They typically have large teams with very specialized roles, often with multiple offices globally. Their interactions with clients tend to be more formalized for complex, long-term solutions.
So maybe less flexible.
A bit less flexible, perhaps, but incredibly efficient with high volumes of work. And given their scale and expertise, they also command higher prices for their work.
The source also encourages freelance work as a side hustle, especially for students. The advice is to start with a few people that you know and trust first, to build confidence and network.
Yeah, it's a great way to get your freelancing legs underneath you.
And here's a delightful practical anecdote. The author shares instances of bartering design work for restaurant meals, hang gliding lessons, triathlon training.
And even scuba certifications. It highlights the community connection and that incredibly satisfying feeling of seeing your design work in the local storefronts and thinking to yourself, I did that. It's pretty cool.
But even with trusted contacts, or maybe especially with trusted contacts, the source stresses the non-negotiable need for contracts.
Absolutely. They're not traps. They're documents to help both parties know what the expectations are. The source provides an example contract, highlighting critical elements like the detailed scope of the project, what exactly is being created, like 2-color vector artwork. Deliver 3 concept sketches, 2 rounds of edits, delivered as an Illustrator EPS file.
So super specific.
Very specific. The contract also defines deliverables, timelines, and crucial warnings that scope changes may result in changes to delivery time and price. It accounts for additional expenses and includes vital terms and conditions, such as one rights transfer, who retains portfolio display rights, overtime rates, and a clear termination policy with a kill fee.
The key takeaway is that such documents prevent miscommunications and protect both parties. Essential stuff.
Non-negotiable, really.
Okay. Once you're ready to start charging, pricing your work becomes critical. For new designers, the advice is to first focus on developing your graphic design skills before getting too hung up on the pricing itself.
Right. Then you consider hourly rates, calculated by hours worked multiplied by your hourly rate. Factors influencing this rate include your experience and skill level. Beginners charge less, experienced designers command more.
The author also addresses the perceived unfairness of a sliding hourly rate.
Yeah, but clarifies their stance. They try to treat all clients fairly, honoring agreements, but allowing for discounts for certain clients or projects that I might be particularly interested in working with, or projects that I find highly fulfilling. It's about balancing business with passion, essentially.
The source also suggests networking with agencies for new designers, advising them to reach out for temporary teamwork or maybe client referrals for smaller jobs outside the agency's budget.
Yeah, it's a smart way to get experience and build connections early on.
Another common strategy is flat rate pricing, where a fixed fee covers the entire project, regardless of the time it takes.
This is ideal for projects with clearly defined deliverables and a narrow scope of work, such as logo design, business cards, posters, or brochures, especially if the designer has prior experience estimating time for similar projects.
The example given is a $100 business card design plus print cost. It illustrates that if it takes 10 hours, the designer earns 10 hours, but if they hustle and finish in 1 hour, they earn a $100 out.
Right. While the client benefits from a fixed, predictable cost, it rewards efficiency.
Finally, there's the retainer agreement, an upfront fee paid to reserve the designer's services over a set portion of time.
This offers mutual benefits. Designers might offer a slightly reduced rate for guaranteed income and predictable workload, while clients gain priority access and often better rates for guaranteed service. Sort of a win-win.
Now, let's talk about something truly important, rejecting spec work. For those unfamiliar, speculative work is unpaid design work created for a client without any guarantee of payment or selection.
Yeah, and the source provides a really critical viewpoint, explaining why designers should be critical of speculative work due to the increased risk of exploitation, inequitable environments, and the chances that your concept will be ripped off.
It highlights the issue. Researching and refining concepts takes time, making it unrealistic to do this for free.
Plus, there's the risk of clients stealing a good concept and having another designer execute it, leaving the original designer with absolutely nothing for their effort.
The author uses a vivid analogy to drive this home. Could you imagine asking 40 chefs to cook you a meal and only paying for the meal you like the best? Of course not.
It powerfully conveys the unfairness of the practice. The author's strong stance is clear. My 2 cents on speculative work are to simply not engage in these opportunities because they are unfair to graphic designers and the graphic design profession. It's simply an unhealthy and unfair practice that should simply be avoided.
It's a call for professional integrity and valuing your time and expertise. Really important point.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move into developing problem-solving skills. At its core, graphic design isn't just about aesthetics. It's deeply rooted in problem-solving.
Precisely. When it comes to understanding problems beyond the surface, the source emphasizes that graphic design is about functionality, thinking outside the box, developing creative solutions, and addressing the project goals. It's not merely about making things look good.
Designers need to, what was the phrase, respectfully probe project goals.
Yeah. Respectfully probe project goals throughout a project to identify constraints and assumptions in order to look for opportunities that may have gone unnoticed. Dig deeper.
And this can lead to surprising win-win opportunities. The example given is redirecting a client from a single poster to a postcard campaign. The designer potentially makes more money, and the client gets more leads.
It powerfully reinforces that mantra. Good design is good business. It's about delivering real value.
One of the key indicators of a healthy design process, according to the source, is using a sketchbook.
Yes. It's essential for exploring a problem from many angles to avoid superficial solutions. Sketchbooks help organize thoughts, demonstrate active work to clients, and even explain how unique solutions were arrived at by allowing designers to look back at the steps you took. Plus, it's a great way to prove originality if needed.
There's a fascinating warning here, though. Designers often don't share sketchbooks with clients to prevent what the author calls Frankensteining.
Yeah, that means clients trying to stitch together disparate ideas into a graphic design monstrosity, which can definitely happen.
But the caveat is that if no presented ideas hit the mark, then sharing the sketchbook can be useful as a last resort.
Right. Developing an informed point of view is also critical. Designers are not the target audience, so they need to research and analyze examples of solutions that other designers, artists, scientists, and so forth have already done.
The goal isn't copying, though.
No, not at all. The goal is to synthesize, develop a unique idea that is cohesive with the project's goals and needs. It's about learning broadly to create something distinct and appropriate.
Okay, when it comes to inspiration and precedent looking beyond the obvious, the source explains that inspiration may share a reference point, but should avoid direct one-to-one comparisons.
And the compelling BBQ sauce analogy illustrates this perfectly. Instead of looking at other BBQ sauces, the author suggests looking at top-shelf bourbon for inspiration. Its visual language, well-designed packaging, and that boutique handcrafted artisan message.
That indirect approach creates new pathways to explore and leverages associations that aren't immediately obvious. It's about expanding your visual vocabulary.
Right, and the source even touches on geographical cultural nuances like North versus South Carolina BBQ tastes for deeper inspiration, showing how nuanced research can lead to unique ideas.
Now, finding precedent is different from inspiration.
Yes, precedent helps understand best size, or how big something should be. The example given is a beer label size or an app button size. You observe successful examples to make an informed decision about practical dimensions, not copy the design solution itself. It's about function and convention.
And a crucial warning, don't rely only on first-hand experience, as this can lead to confirmation bias, selectively interpreting information to confirm existing beliefs.
The classic egg drop assignment analogy from academia beautifully illustrates synthesizing unrelated concepts. Students observe nature, like dandelions dispersing seeds or animals building nests, to protect a fragile egg.
The real winners are those who synthesize or take the concept of a solution, reinterpret it, and make it their own. breaking down big problems and seeking solutions beyond their immediate experience.
It highlights the power of breaking conventional thinking, looking outside your usual field.
Understanding your target audience, who are you talking to, is paramount. You need to tap into their visual language, choices, and style to create effective, compelling, and engaging interactions.
The party analogy is spot on. Mirroring someone's body language subtly indicates that I may hold similar beliefs and attitudes or want to emulate or appease them. Designers do this by mirroring their preferences to avoid messages that seem foreign, abrupt, or odd.
This also prevents design fails related to cultural sensitivities, miscommunications, and biases. It's about tailoring solutions to meet the audience's needs and ensure the message feels authentic and understood.
A key tool for this is creating personas. These are fictional characters designed to represent a member of your target audience. They humanize the design process and help designers understand and empathize with their users.
And personas include practical details like age, gender, job, interests, goals, that sort of thing.
Exactly. They also create a shared understanding among team members and speed up the design process by constantly reminding everyone who the design solution is for. And importantly, the source emphasizes they are living documents that need to be monitored and updated.
The contrast between McDonald's consistent mass-produced burgers and a local chef who knows what the locals like to eat brilliantly illustrates that targeted design isn't one-size-fits-all.
Right, it's deeply customized, making the audience feel seen and understood.
Okay, project scope defining the finish line is about clarity. Scope is just a fancy way of saying a job begins here and ends there. Mutual understanding of these start and end points, the finish line, is critical to avoid miscommunications.
The author shares a vivid personal anecdote of learning to define the scope the hard way with a website project that would never be completed because the client always wanted just one more thing, leaving the designer feeling like there was no end in sight.
Ouch. I can imagine. That powerfully illustrates the consequences of an undefined scope.
Absolutely. While acknowledging that change is inevitable and project boundaries may need redefinition, having clearly defined starting and ending points makes the entire process run more smoothly.
And once again, the source reiterates that contracts are beneficial for both graphic designers and clients alike for a smooth process. Define that scope in writing.
Definitely.
Competitor analysis, knowing the landscape, is often a skipped step for young designers, but it's vital for identifying who might interact and compete with your design solution and why.
Yeah, this understanding allows designers to position their work effectively within the market. Designers can use these findings to justify their design decisions and address certain aspects when talking to clients, often referencing the client's own analysis. It's about being informed and strategic.
When it comes to trends staying current, or purposefully not, the source suggests following influencers like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, and Tim Cook via social media, blogs, and podcasts to spot industry trends and new initiatives.
The goal isn't just to copy, but to take large, grandiose ideas and scale them down for personal design work.
The Smoothie Wolf anecdote is incredibly inspiring. A student used Twitter to connect with Diplo, designed a logo, screen-printed shirts, and ended up on stage.
It highlights how following trends and influential figures can lead to amazing photographs for a portfolio and totally unexpected opportunities. You never know.
The source also lists specific tools and platforms for trend analysis, like Behance and Dribbble for sharing work, Adobe Color and Coolers for palettes, Typewolf and Font Squirrel for typography, and Toptal and Allwords for web design trends.
Yeah, these are invaluable resources for staying sharp and seeing what's current.
What's fascinating is the psychology of shapes. The source introduces the idea that we tend to interpret and react to certain shapes. It provides associations for common shapes, squares, rectangles for order, stability, or maybe boring.
Circles for unity, eternity, or perhaps monotonous. Triangles for stability, power, or conflict, aggression. And organic shapes for nature, fluidity, or maybe unpredictable, unprofessional.
The application to a solar panel logo example beautifully illustrates this.
Yeah.
Depending on the desired brand message for a startup solar panel company, shape choices are crucial. Squares for stability and longevity, triangles for progression, solar versus petroleum, or organic shapes for environmental impact and sustainability.
It reinforces how visual language could support this concept. The shape itself carries meaning.
Finally, we need to consider technical requirements bridging design and production. Designers must be aware of the technical requirements of both print and digital forms to ensure a good final result.
Absolutely. For print, a critical step is always to stop by and talk with your local printer to ensure best results and no surprises, as presses and workflows can vary significantly.
The source highlights key print requirements, using CMYK color mode, cyan, magenta, yellow, key black, as it's a subtractive color model based on ink, typically 300 pixels per inch DPI resolution.
And a 0.125-inch bleed to prevent white edges after trimming by providing a safe zone for the cutter. You'll typically use file formats like PDF, TIFF, or EMP, and always embed or outline your fonts to prevent display issues. Also, paper characteristics like finish, coated-uncoated, dramatically affect ink absorption and color appearance.
Right. For digital technical requirements, accessibility is key. Adherence to accessibility guidelines, like those from W3C, is crucial for individuals with disabilities, ensuring content is usable by everyone.
And digital work primarily uses RGB, red, green, blue, an additive color model based on light for screens. File formats like PDF, PNG, JPG, GIF, or SVG are chosen for optimized sizes, transparency, and screen display.
File size is crucial for web performance. You must compress images to balance quality with load times to avoid slow loading.
Interactivity considerations mean buttons on a mobile device should be sized so they can be selected with a fingertip, an important distinction from mouse use. Higher pixel density is needed for high-density displays like Retina to maintain clarity.
And responsive design principles are vital to create layouts that adapt to various screen sizes and orientations. Plus, for typography, web-safe fonts are chosen because they're readable across different types of devices, browsers, and operating systems, being locally stored for faster loading and better performance.
All crucial technical details to keep in mind.
Okay, let's dive into practices for better design solutions, starting with improving empathy skills to help reach your audience.
The source really lays the foundation here, defining empathy as seeing the world through other people's eyes. It's about putting aside preconceived notions to truly understand the ideas, thoughts, and needs of others.
And this, they argue, leads to completely different perspectives and solutions you might not have identified otherwise.
Exactly. The easiest step to cultivate this is active listening. That means giving your full attention, avoiding interruptions, using nonverbal cues like nodding and eye contact, removing distractions, and asking open-ended questions that require more than a simple yes or no.
Beyond technique, it's about cultivating genuine interest.
Right. Show a sincere desire to learn about others and their lived experiences. Reflecting on your own emotions can help you relate more effectively to others. The source also suggests broadening perspectives by learning about different cultures and perspectives through travel, literature, or film, practicing empathy in a, controlled environment.
And if you mess up and say something inappropriate,
the advice is to take responsibility, apologize sincerely, and educate yourself and learn from the experience. We all make mistakes. Crucially, the source distinguishes between empathy and sympathy. Empathy lets you experience others' emotions, while sympathy is showing concern or compassion. Big difference.
Moving to a practical tool, empathy mapping.
These are collaborative documents that a group creates together, providing a macro or 40,000-foot view of the target audience. They serve as a framework for understanding what a target audience sees and hears, and help identify their pain points and goals.
The process typically starts with, what do they think and feel? Then moves to other questions, with a facilitator writing down the group's consensus.
But the source notes limitations. Empathy maps are snapshots that can introduce errors and may not capture fluid emotions, requiring monitoring and updates. They are best used in conjunction with other tools like a customer journey or personas.
Which leads us perfectly to personas. These take a more granular approach compared to empathy maps.
Right. Personas are fictional characters designed to represent a member of your target audience. They humanize the design process, helping teams understand and empathize with users. Typical details include age, gender, job, interests, and goals.
And they offer many advantages.
Yes. They focus design on user needs, humanize the process, aid empathy, serve as a decision-making reference, create shared team understanding, help prioritize goals, and can be revised. The source also connects personas to a word list strategy, where you capture the desired vibe, words exceptional, superb, approachable, amiable, to hit the target with visual.
Demonstrating that you can communicate with your graphic language and layout similar to how you can communicate with text on a page. That's neat.
It is. Next, mood boards. These are collages of images, colors, textures, patterns, typography, and other visual elements used to organize a project's visual language and tone. They can range from simple to intricate.
Their utility is twofold: coordinating design teams, and crucially, serving as a low-stakes way of making sure the visual direction of the project is in line with client expectations early on, preventing wasted time.
Exactly. And there's no right way to create them. Physical collages, digital tools like Illustrator, Photoshop, or online tools like Canva and Milanote all work.
The author shares a personal anecdote about designing for 8-10-year-old girls. I used photos of toys, Adobe Capture for a color palette, Adobe fonts for informal typefaces, and a Photoshop text effect.
And importantly, this was enough to show my client and get the thumbs up to proceed, highlighting the practical, effective nature of mood boards and gaining early buy-in without investing tons of production time yet.
Makes sense. Collaboration skills are also vital. Designers are advised to steer the conversation during collaboration.
The source gives examples of targeted questions to elicit useful feedback, such as, "What do you think of this color palette?" This ensures targeted feedback instead of a broad, sweeping reaction, making the feedback process far more productive.
Feedback, the art of receiving and giving critique. The source acknowledges an inevitable truth. Everybody has an opinion, and you can count on receiving feedback, even for masterpieces like Michelangelo's David.
It's just part of the process. To prepare for feedback, designers should summarize the project and goals for the client, recap steps taken, and remind them of previous solicited opinions. This sets the stage for a productive discussion.
When it comes to shaping critique feedback, the source emphasizes a partnership approach. It's our solution, not just the designer's.
Which shifts blame from individual fault to collaborative problem solving. Teaching clients how to critique is part of the job because not everyone is versed in giving critique feedback. Designers should remind clients of project goals, walk them through their design thinking, and ask targeted feedback questions like, "Do you think these colors have enough contrast?" Or, "Does this typeface reflect the right tone?"
Yeah, avoiding that vague feedback like, "I like the direction, but maybe work on it a bit more." That's not helpful.
Not at all. Prioritizing feedback is about sorting and analysis. Categorize suggestions, design elements, functions, preferences, look for repeating themes, and note client emphasis. The designer's job is to determine which of these suggestions you need to react to, based on their potential impact on project goals.
And clearly distinguish between errors, spelling wrong logo color, which must be fixed, and preferences or alternative approaches, which require evaluation against project goals.
Right. Balancing feedback with design expertise is crucial. Designers should always try to learn from the feedback, but don't always agree. There are times to argue politely, of course, from my point of view, especially when decisions don't align with experience or project goals.
A practical tip is to quickly mock up 2 directions to make a point, showing the client, "I'm listening to them, but that there's a better way."
The urology logo anecdote powerfully illustrates this. The urologist client based his final logo decision on his secretary's favorite color, but purple is my favorite color, after appearing completely lost during the initial presentation.
Oh, no.
Yeah. This highlights the pitfall of assuming client knowledge and the importance of designers educating clients by slowing down and talking all of my clients through my decision-making process to help them better understand how the elements in my design solutions support the goals of the project. Otherwise, as the author says, the secretary might decide for you.
Good advice. Interviews and surveys are also critical for developing problem-solving skills, going beyond surface decorating to solve actual problems.
The value of talking to the target audience is emphasized, with a warning to avoid collecting opinions rather than facts, or reacting to criticism that is too granular, individual needs versus group needs.
Interview preparation and careful survey design are important, paying attention to question types, open-ended, rating scales, multiple choice, to avoid leading, ambiguous, or confusing responses.
Aim for a consistent, short, and clear question strategy. Testing surveys before launch for errors in length, asking most important questions first, is advised due to diminishing participation.
Once data is collected, it needs to be analyzed for conclusions and insights, using tools like Google Sheets or SPSS for statistical analysis. Data should be presented clearly using graphics, charts, tables, and infographics, explaining methods, limitations, and implications.
Ultimately, these methods solve actual problems that members of your target audience struggle with, real-world grounding.
Let's transition to embracing creativity and mistakes. The source highlights that the design process is dynamic and projects constantly evolve.
And it acknowledges that the creative process does not follow the rules of logic, meaning designers are going to have to learn to be okay with making mistakes along the way. It's a comforting reassurance that there isn't a single creative person alive, no matter how talented they are, who doesn't make mistakes.
This leads to a crucial point. How you get to a graphic design solution isn't super important. Only the quality of the design solution matters. The depth of exploration is more important than the rightness of the steps.
The archway analogy perfectly illustrates this. The order of placing the archway stones isn't important, but the self-supporting, time-tested result is. This frees the designer up from the fear of making a mistake.
And if you're not making mistakes,
Then you've probably played it too safe. Creative, unique, or inspired work doesn't come from playing it safe. No, of course not. While adhering to constraints is necessary, creativity isn't on demand where the lightning bolts of inspiration fall from the heavens. It often requires ample time to explore, develop ideas, get feedback, and assess ideas, which inherently includes making a few mistakes along the way.
then there's identifying creative versus logical thinking. The source illustrates the distinct differences.
Right. Logical thinking systematically removes options that don't meet the project requirements to find the best or right solution, often dictated by constraints like cost or time. Creative thinking, conversely, is about generating a quantity and variety of ideas.
The key is the harmony of both. Approaching design solutions with only a logical mindset puts you on a course for creating uninspired work. Conversely, working only creatively leaves you unable to make certain decisions.
So the best solution is to implement both creative and logical thinking. It's about knowing which tool to use and when.
The workflow suggested is that the creative phase begins immediately with brainstorming and generating solutions without judgment or self-editing.
Then the logical phase is initiated when project constraints are reached, such as time, cost, or other factors, at which point all the potential solutions are evaluated and narrowed down to the best solution and developed.
And the consequences are clear. Logical only leads to uninspiring mediocre work. Creative only makes picking and refining the best idea almost impossible. You need both working together.
Exactly. And crucially, learning from mistakes. These are framed as simply opportunities for growth.
The source outlines actionable steps. First, reflect on how it went, identifying mistakes and their impact. Second, consider feedback received from peers and professionals and how it affected your trajectory.
Third, reflect on assumptions. Did the data lead you in the right direction? Document to avoid repetition. Fourth, reflect on timeline. Was there enough time for brainstorming refinement? Document for accurate future quotes.
And fifth, learn from others. Compare results to hack your design process and identify new tools or techniques.
The goal is for mistakes to be increasingly smaller and less important as one grows. It's a continuous improvement cycle, always learning.
Now let's talk about choosing the right tool. The source immediately reinforces that tools assist us in performing a particular task and can make our jobs easier, but they typically don't solve problems by themselves.
Yes, it drives home the point that the human mind is the most powerful tool.
They start with capturing ideas with pencil and paper, describing it as the most prolific and cheapest tool around, offering flexibility and freedom.
The low barriers are a huge plus. No annoying pop-up box for document size or units ideas flow directly from head to paper much more fluidly.
This leads to significant time saving. Young designers often waste precious time setting up digital documents for concepts that just don't work. Sketching saves all that setup time.
Right. Thumbnail sketches are not normally created to impress people, but to explore an idea and to try to work out some of the design problems. Imagine a business card sketch taking maybe 15 seconds to draw, yet containing a lot of information about layout and elements.
Because they're quick, it's psychologically easy to eliminate ideas from consideration.
And they also allow for early feedback from clients or colleagues before investing time in digital perfection, which focuses on the ideas behind my design solution and work generatively rather than working in a linear path. You explore broader first.
The author shares a great anecdote about a design professor forcing watercolor sketches, which got me out of a rut that I was unaware I had fallen into.
Yeah, this highlights how changing up the ways you work can also affect the direction of your problem solving, forcing deeper conceptual thought over just jumping to familiar digital aesthetics.
This encourages experimentation with fat markers, charcoal pencils, or scissors and glue sticks to create collaged thumbnail sketches to avoid hitting a glass ceiling in your workflow.
Exactly. Break routines to foster new insights.
Next, evaluating electronic pencils and tablets. The source acknowledges the super cool appeal of electronic pencils like the Apple Pencil Wireless, tilt and pressure-sensitive tap-to-change tools.
Sure, the cool factor is there,
Yeah.
but then it gets practical with a cost analysis. An Apple Pencil is around $130, but requires an iPad, $500, $1,000 plus, and maybe an app like Procreate, $20, totaling $650 to $1,250 or more.
Plus, optional tips or screen protectors adds up.
It does. These tools are arguably too pricey and overpowered for simple thumbnail sketches, but justified if graphic design work has a heavy illustration component for a streamlined workflow.
But the core message remains. You don't need these tools to be an amazing graphic designer. A pencil and paper will still do the trick.
Right. When comparing feel and control, the source relates the tactile experience of a pencil or Sharpie on paper, even suggesting a tongue test for surface texture.
Okay.
It then compares the Apple Pencil with iPad versus Wacom, standalone, connects to computer, noting both offer pressure sensitivity, customizable buttons, tilt recognition, and programmable shortcuts. Similar features, different form factors.
Appreciating Adobe Creative Cloud is essential. You can sign up for a free trial at adobe.com. Despite being pricey, a subscription includes access to Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Adobe XD, Adobe After Effects, and more, most software needed for almost any type of graphic design solution.
And the ecosystem advantage is key. Adobe software is designed to work in unison and integrates with mobile apps. Imagine this. A graphic from Illustrator plus a photo from Photoshop can be seamlessly imported into InDesign for a magazine ad, then exported as a print-ready PDF via Acrobat.
That's a workflow designed for efficiency. Very integrated.
Very. Now, a deeper dive into working with Adobe Illustrator. It's defined as a vector-based drawing and illustration program. What does vector-based mean? It means elements can be enlarged or reduced in size without sacrificing image quality.
Because it's math, not pixels.
Exactly. Because vector artwork is based on mathematical formulas that precisely calculate how an element looks. Think of zooming in on the letter E. If it's vector, the edges remain perfectly sharp. If it's raster, it quickly becomes blurry and blocky, pixelated.
So Illustrator is ideal for work that may need to be scaled up, such as logos, artwork, graphics, and so forth.
Right. It also offers precise command over shapes, lines, curves, and anchor points. The source mentions Bezier curves and pen tool as core elements for drawing. While drawing can be challenging, tracing pencil sketches is a common workflow.
And now there's AI in Illustrator.
Yes, the generative recolor and text-to-vector graphic features are highlighted, allowing AI to create color variations or vector graphics from text prompts, which can really simplify exploration.
On the designer's role with AI, the source addresses legitimate concerns about copyright, authorship, quality, and uniqueness. The author's stance is nuanced.
Yeah, they say, I embrace the tools and workflows that generative AI offers, but I don't want them to come at the expense of my artist, illustrator, and designer friends' work. In my opinion, generative AI still needs well-defined guidelines and enforcement mechanisms. It's about careful integration, not blind replacement.
Got it. Okay, next, working with Adobe Photoshop. This is defined as raster software used to create and edit pixel-based artwork.
And crucial pixel density rules of thumb are provided. 72 pixels per inch is a good pixel density for the internet, smaller file size for faster loading. 218 pixels per inch is a good pixel density for Retina displays, sharper images on high-res screens, and 300 pixels per inch is a good pixel density for printed materials, meets printer specifications.
A fundamental truth about Photoshop is emphasized. You can create files and scale your files down, but generally speaking, you shouldn't create files and try to scale them up because you'll sacrifice image quality.
Right, reiterating that core contrast with Illustrator's vector capabilities. You lose quality scaling up pixels.
Photoshop offers extensive image editing features, like brightness, contrast, levels, and curves for adjusting tone and color.
Yeah, those are the workhorses of image manipulation. Its retouching tools are also powerful. Think of the clone stamp tool to copy pixels, or the content-aware fill feature that seamlessly fills selected areas based on surrounding content.
And the key insight here is the concept of non-destructive workflow, using tools like adjustment layers or masking.
Exactly. Manipulating images without permanently altering the original pixels. This non-destructive workflow is a primary advantage of Photoshop's layer-based editing. It allows for individual editing and adjustments while preserving the original image.
Like isolating a flamingo with a layer mask to edit its background without ever touching the flamingo's pixels.
Precisely. If you used an eraser, those pixels would be gone forever. With a mask, you can always go back and refine. Always work non-destructively whenever you can. It gives you flexibility.
The latest AI capabilities in Photoshop are detailed, specifically generative fill and generative expand.
These allow AI to add or remove content or even expand canvases, with realistic and contextually aware results generated from simple text prompts. It's a huge time saver for quick conceptualization and modification.
The versatility and compatibility of Photoshop are summarized. Versatility, extensive capabilities and support. Compatibility with various file formats, GIF, JPG, PNG, PDF, PSD, TIFF, and high-quality output for print and digital.
It's the industry standard for a reason.
Moving on to working with Adobe InDesign. It's defined as a desktop publishing and layout application for creating books, magazines, brochures, and both print and digital publications.
Right. This is the hub where you bring all your content together and make it look awesome. InDesign is ideal for handling multi-page documents and is extremely easy to place both vector and raster documents.
And its efficiency comes through styles.
Yes, styles are essentially shortcuts for formatting text, paragraphs, and objects consistently. This speeds up workflow dramatically and maintains cohesiveness and unity across a publication. Change a style once, and it updates everywhere it's applied.
The source contrasts InDesign's core purpose, text, images, parent pages layout, with Illustrator's precise vector drawing, and Photoshop's raster image editing, noting InDesign is often easier to learn than Illustrator or Photoshop for its specific layout functions.
Correct. In layout and page design, the initial new document screen prompts decisions on size, pages, columns, bleed, and slug settings, highlighting the benefits of a semi-automated workflow that guides you.
Concepts like bleed, artwork extending beyond the trim line, slug, area outside the bleed for notes, and parent pages are introduced.
Parent pages are explained as templates for other pages, controlling consistent elements like page numbers and guides, making them a great time saver for multi-page documents. Apply it to the parent, it appears on all linked pages.
Handling typographic elements like a pro is a key strength of InDesign. It offers powerful tools for font selection, kerning, adjusting space between individual letters,
Leading, adjusting vertical space between lines of text, and tracking, adjusting space across a range of characters, really fine control over type.
applying styles, streamlines your workflow by tagging content and adjusting color, spacing, or size with a single click, maintaining consistency across any page count.
The baseline grid helps designers align text to a baseline grid to create a clean and professional-looking layout, especially with multiple columns or aligned elements. Features like text wraps and text frames control how text interacts with other elements on a page, allowing text to flow gracefully around images or shapes.
Creating PDF and interactive documents is another strength. Any InDesign document can be saved as a PDF. Additionally, its interactive tools allow for animations, bookmarks, buttons, forms, hyperlinks, page transitions, and other features, enabling interactive slideshows with multimedia elements.
Which makes it great for both print and dynamic digital publications. Very versatile.
For the budget-conscious, the source offers alternative software. For Adobe Illustrator, vector alternatives. There's Affinity Designer, paid, professional, cross-platform, Inkscape, free, open source.
And Vector, free in browser, basic, good for Chromebooks.
For Adobe Photoshop raster alternatives, there's GIMP, free, open source, robust, and Pixlr, free in browser, basic.
And for Adobe InDesign layout alternatives, there's Affinity Publisher, paid, professional, strong integration with Affinity Designer Photo, and Scribus, free, open source, professional publishing features. So options exist outside the Adobe ecosystem.
Good to know. The source also lists mobile apps for some tasks, emphasizing their convenience for on-the-go work.
Examples include Adobe Capture, free mobile design assets for Creative Cloud, Adobe Express, free web mobile for graphic sliders videos, Coolers, color palette generator, Paper by WeTransfer, mobile sketching, Procreate Pocket, raster graphics for iPad mobile,
Scanner Pro Cam Scanner, Scan and Create PDFs with mobile device, and Sketchbook, sketching, painting, drawing app. Lots of handy mobile tools.
Yeah, design isn't just tied to the desktop anymore.
Now let's look at design as an iterative process. Our source describes graphic design as a cyclical process involving constantly thinking, making, refining, and improving a solution.
Right. This continues until the problem is solved sufficiently, or constraints like a deadline or budget are reached. It's not necessarily about perfection, but effective resolution within limits.
The source briefly lists the 7 phases implied by this cyclical model: project brief and goals, research and planning, brainstorming, sketching, design development, feedback and revision, finalization and execution, and repeat.
And the beauty of this model is its adaptability to different types of projects. You might cycle through certain phases more than others, depending on the job.
The importance of thinking phase is really highlighted. After initial research, the thinking phase begins to become visual, where the designer wrestles with how to visually articulate the most important parts of your research.
The goal is to create a visual language that is meaningful, authentic, and can be understood by your target audience. Crucially, leaving time for this step is important because it is often an underappreciated aspect of the design process.
It's for experimentation, play, development, conceptualization, and refinement, not just jumping straight to execution.
Exactly. The author advises contacting the client at the end of this phase to show top 3 ideas and get feedback before perfecting digitally. This ensures client buy-in and makes them part of my design process, addressing changes early rather than late. Much cheaper to change a sketch than a finished digital piece.
Time tracking per phase is encouraged to identify patterns, find efficiency tools, and estimate the time it will take me to complete a job more accurately.
The source also addresses young designers' self-consciousness about not knowing every software feature, trick, and key command. The reassurance. You just need to know the software well enough so that you can execute your idea. New features are continuous and skills grow with use. Don't let tool intimidation stop you.
The right tool for the job is revisited. I wouldn't design a logo or a resume with Adobe Photoshop. It's simply not the right tool for the job.
Right. It reinforces that technical skills can be developed as you go along and advocates continuous learning via LinkedIn Learning, Skillshare, Adobe, and YouTube. Creative directors value designers who want to improve their skills, being a lifelong learner.
Phase 1, Project Brief and Goals, emphasizes the importance of clearly defined project briefs and goals. It's crucial that both designer and client agree on these goals to ensure alignment from the start and avoid misdirection.
Phase 2. Research and planning is the foundation. This phase involves understanding the problem, researching, and planning. It then broadly outlines the next steps: brainstorming, sketching and refining your ideas, and design development, feedback, and revision. It's setting the stage.
Phase 3. Brainstorming is a technique to generate ideas in response to a prompt, aiming for large volume and variety, including fringe or off-the-wall ideas.
In this initial stage, quantity over quality is the goal. Not best answers, but interesting, unique, or alternative ideas. Avoid self-editing or fixating too early.
The source visually compares a standard logical approach versus outflanking the problem by testing the edges in brainstorming, using a military analogy. A direct attack versus flanking to find weakness.
Goals of a brainstorming session include setting project-specific goals and constraints, like time limits, and communicating that evaluation comes later. A clearly defined question or goal is helpful. Fostering a non-judgmental environment is critical.
Discourage critical comments and encourage quantity variety. The ring-a-bell tactic is suggested for managing critiques and interruptions in group sessions.
Yeah, keep the flow going. Practicing divergent thinking acknowledges that many solutions won't pan out, some passable, but a precious few ideas have potential. Divergent thinking is described as free-flowing and non-linear manners of thinking, where one idea sparks another.
The emphasis is on more variety, perspectives, associations, and interpretations, the better, protecting freedom from the fear of rejection or failure.
Reiterating, value quantity over quality. Increasing the pool of ideas is the focus in early stages. Realism doesn't matter yet. All ideas should be written down. A large number of ideas can actually increase the chances of reaching a new solution.
Reverse brainstorming is a technique to solve problems in reverse by focusing on how to make the problem worse.
The example provided is turning "how can we gain more customers" into "how can we drive customers away?" Then, reversing the bad ideas identifies improvements, strategies, and innovative ideas more easily. It's a clever way to break mental blocks and see things differently.
After brainstorming, sorting and refining ideas begins, identifying the most promising ideas. Post-it notes are suggested for categorizing and refining ideas quickly. Solo designers are reassured that you can work through many of the same processes yourself.
Phase 4, sketching out your ideas is a valuable part that fosters creativity, aids problem-solving, and visual thinking. It's when the thinking phase begins to become visual.
Thumbnail sketches are for getting your ideas out of your head and testing their viability before committing to a direction. Work quickly, explore from a slightly different angle, and don't worry about being well-rendered.
The typical breakdown for 150 sketches is 100 unlikely, 45 uninspired but not bad, and 5 sketches. Ideas that have the potential to be developed into a really good design solution, an approximately 3% success rate, highlighting that sketching is a way for you to get better, deeper, and more unique ideas. It's a numbers game sometimes.
The advice is to keep ideas loose and fluid, avoiding erasers or too much detail. Simply want to explore a concept.
Iterative sketches are used to refine and develop an idea through successive versions, making improvements and elaborating. It's compared to a painter using big brushes than smaller detailed ones. It's helpful to take 1 or 2 variables at a time and experiment.
Collaborative sketching involves each person sketching, sharing, getting feedback, refining, and reviewing. Benefits include making the process feel like a lighter lift and not relying on one person.
The key is skilled facilitator guidance to keep it productive.
Exploring visual metaphors means using pictorial representation of an object to suggest an association or similarity. Their purpose is to take the attributes of one thing and project meaning to another.
Think of how Captain America's suit and shield embody American patriotism through their red, white, blue, and star motifs. Understanding the metaphor fully is key. Break into elements, sketch manipulations, and utilize widely recognized symbols.
However, a warning. Metaphors can also make your concept a cliché if overused, e.g., a light bulb for an idea, a heart for love. Seek interesting, clever, and original ones.
Right. Combining sketches is about strategic blending. Identify strongest elements and find complementary sketches. But be warned, avoid that Frankensteining again or overcomplicating. Prioritize important elements and refine for a cohesive, unified approach.
The chef analogy, look for ideas that are likely to work together the same way a chef might point to ingredients and say if it grows together, it goes together when cooking is apt.
Layering meaning requires slowing down, thinking about small visual tweaks to align elements toward a common goal. Just as you wouldn't drive your car down the road pressing on the gas and the brake pedal simultaneously, your design elements must work together harmoniously.
In Phase 5, design development, once a sketch is satisfactory, external feedback is key. Meet with client stakeholders to discuss direction before extensive digital development.
Yes. This prevents getting lost in your own ideas and ensures the solution makes sense to others. The key question for approval is not how should I, but this makes sense to you, right? Do you agree with this direction? Get that buy-in.
Phase 6, feedback and revision, refers back to the detailed section we covered earlier under Practices for Better Design Solutions. This emphasizes that it's an integral part of the iterative process.
It also introduces the proof approval form as a formal tool to avoid comments from clients that are vague and ambiguous and to move the project forward when clients hesitate to commit. Get it signed off.
Phase 7, finalization and execution happens once the client signs the proof approval form. It's time to finalize and prepare files. Tips for preparing printed work include always communicating with your local printer first for their specific requirements, due to variations in presses, workflows, and settings.
General guidelines for print include CMYK color mode, 300 dpi resolution, a 0.125-inch bleed, and common file formats like PDF or TIFF. Always confirm printer's preference. Always embed or outline your fonts. Paper characteristics also dramatically affect the final look. For online printers, check their specific printing guidelines, templates, and FAQs.
Tips for preparing files for the web involves a balancing act between compression and quality, optimizing images to exactly the size that's needed at an appropriate resolution.
Imagine 2 identical-looking images, one 34 MB and the other 253 KB. The smaller one loads exceptionally fast, making a huge difference in user experience. As the source asks, do you know anyone who wants to wait for their web pages to load? Probably not.
File size, format, compression, and resolution all affect UX. Key considerations: choose the right file format, JPG, PNG, SVG, GIF. Compression is paramount, recommending Photoshop's Save for Web legacy tool. Resolution also affects file sizes, 72 dpi for standard web, 144 dpi for Retina.
Tips for preparing files for mobile devices acknowledges that mobile devices are not just miniature computers. Usage is drastically different. Think about how you search Walmart's website on your phone versus your computer. AI can deliver content more quickly and accurately, tailored to that context.
Specific tips include responsive design, efficient file formats like WebP or SVG, and lazy loading for off-screen images videos, making it fast and adaptive.
Finally, Phase 8, repeat. Graphic design is iterative. Designers, stakeholders, and clients learn more about their strategies, methods, and tools. New insights can enhance the results.
It's acknowledged that the first iterations of a design project are rarely perfect. In fact, the author admits, no design solution that I've ever created that couldn't be improved.
Revisiting phases or decisions when new information requires updates or reworks fosters greater innovation and creativity. Clients often have their ideas for a project evolve as a project goes along. The goal is to ensure the solution is tested, improved, and refined to meet goals and audience needs, continuing until time, financial, or other type of constraint ends the process.
The author concludes this section with a thoughtful observation. It's one thing to know the graphic design processes academically, and another to actually walk through this process yourself.
Practical application is truly where the learning happens. You got to do it.
All right, let's unpack this and dive into part 2. Principles of design, starting with balance, contrast, and emphasis, the fundamental building blocks.
These principles are indeed the building blocks of graphic design, used to create visually pleasing work, and they inform and guide the designer's efforts. Let's start with balance, which is about the distribution of visual weight, creating stability and equilibrium.
There are several types of balance. Symmetrical balance occurs when elements are evenly distributed on either side of an axis. This creates formal, stable, orderly, and calm feelings, often seen in logos or formal documents.
This can apply to horizontal balance, left to right, and vertical balance, top to bottom. Asymmetrical balance is where elements are not identical but still have equal visual weight, resulting in dynamic, modern, and engaging compositions. The author notes these are often perceived as more engaging for viewers.
Like a heavy, dark element on one side balanced by several smaller, lighter elements on the other.
Exactly. Then there's radial balance, where elements radiate outward from a central point, creating movement and dynamism. Think of ripples in a pond.
Finally, crystallographic balance, also known as an all-over pattern or mosaic. This creates a repetitive pattern without a clear focal point or hierarchy.
It can evoke feelings of calm, orderliness, stability, and reliability, though responses can vary. The overall effect is structure and harmony. Think wallpaper patterns.
Next up is contrast, defined as differences in visual properties, which makes elements distinct and draws attention.
Its purpose is to improve readability, create emphasis, add visual interest, organize information, and create focal points. The source references Johannes Idden's 7 categories of contrast.
These include color contrast, using different colors to create distinctions. This can draw or diminish attention or create emphasis. It covers hue, red versus green,
Bold.
saturation, vivid versus muted, and temperature, warm versus cool.
Then tonal contrast, differences in brightness, lightness, or darkness. High contrast has a large range, black and white, while low contrast has more subtlety, shades of gray. Can be achieved without color, and crucially, improves legibility and defines hierarchy.
That trick of squinting helps see tonal contrast, right?
Yes, squinting helps perceive tonal contrast, what stands out. Textural contrast refers to differences in implied or actual surface quality, adding depth, rough versus smooth. Size contrast is about differences in scale, large versus small, drawing attention to larger elements. Helpful to think about visibility from different distances.
Shape contrast uses different shapes to create interest and direct attention, like squares for content, circles for buttons.
Right, recalling those psychological connections of shapes. Circles for unity, triangles for progression. Spatial contrast highlights differences in space around elements, crowded versus open. White space or negative space is key here. It controls visual flow, readability, and emphasis. Good use of white space feels sophisticated.
And finally, typographic contrast, using different typefaces, sizes, weights, and styles to create visual differences in text.
Common mistakes include using too many typefaces, choosing ones that are too similar, or having an unclear hierarchy. Effective methods include varying size, weight, bold light, style, italics underline, combining different typefaces, bold sans serif with a light serif, and adjusting spacing.
That brings us to emphasis. This principle is about making one element stand out as a focal point, guiding the viewer's eye. Its purpose is to create visual interest, direct attention, and establish hierarchy.
There are several types of emphasis. Contrast emphasis uses any type of contrast, color, size, shape, etc., to make an element stand out. Think vibrant color on a neutral background. Isolation emphasis places an element apart from others, drawing attention through separation, a single dot in empty space.
Positional emphasis refers to location, center, top left for Western readers. An element in the center typically gets more attention. Color emphasis uses color to draw attention, convey mood, or highlight key elements, helping the audience receive the message faster, like bright website buttons.
Typographic emphasis signifies importance through size, weight, style, and spacing of type. White space emphasis uses negative space to balance, paste content, guide the eye, and enhance focus, creating a clean, sophisticated look.
Directional emphasis uses lines, shapes, or cues to create a path for the eye, adding energy. And repetition and pattern emphasis involves repeating elements to create rhythm and draw attention.
All ways to control where the viewer looks first.
Let's continue our deep dive into the principles of design, focusing now on unity, repetition, rhythm, and proportion.
Unity, also known as harmony, refers to the cohesiveness and consistency of all of the elements, working together to create a sense of wholeness. Everything feels like it belongs.
This concept is deeply tied to Gestalt unity, from Gestalt psychology, how people perceive visual information as unified wholes. The phrase, "the whole is greater than the sum of the parts," captures this.
Right, like 6 orange dots forming a perceived triangle. Our brains try to make sense of it, seeking patterns. Understanding Gestalt allows for really creative design solutions that play with and challenge the ways in which we perceive the world around us.
Key Gestalt principles include proximity, close elements grouped; similarity, similar elements grouped; continuity, eye follows line shapes; closure, perceive complete shapes despite gaps common in logos;
Figure ground, distinguish foreground, background. Common fate, elements moving together grouped. Symmetry, symmetrical elements grouped. And parallelism, parallel elements grouped. Our brains are wired for this.
Beyond Gestalt, visual unity refers to a cohesive aesthetic, where all visual elements look like they belong together, like a well-designed logo. It applies broadly. Elements must work together in ways that support your concept.
Repetition unity is the repeated use of visual elements to create a sense of harmony, establishing theme and rhythm. Brands use it for a unified visual brand: logo, color, type. Proximity unity involves placing similar elements together to create a visual connection, improving readability and organization.
Color unity is the harmonious use of color and consistent application. Typographic unity involves consistent typeface, size, weight, style.
Spatial unity refers to the spacing and arrangement for visual cohesion, creating rhythm. Grid systems help ensure this. Conceptual unity is about a cohesive and well-chosen idea or theme that goes beyond aesthetics, tying visuals to the message, purpose, and concept.
Like the Impossible Burgers example, pink breaks unity with the plant-based message, while burgundy fits the meat substitute narrative.
Exactly. Finally, cultural unity means aligning design with cultural values, avoiding insensitivity. Collaborate with cultural insiders, seek feedback, apologize for mistakes, approach it with respect and humility.
Next, repetition. The use of repeating elements to create a sense of unity, consistency, and rhythm.
It's important to balance repetition with variation to avoid becoming boring and monotonous. It's the drumbeat for graphic design with visual variations. Color repetition involves reusing specific colors, typically 2 to the 5. Limiting the palette aids customer recognition and consistency.
Shape repetition reuses shapes for predictability and structure. Pattern repetition involves repeating a motif, easily created with tools like Illustrator's repeat function.
Texture repetition repeats surface quality for rhythm and depth. Space repetition is the repetition of negative space for balance and organization. A common error is inconsistent spacing from too many text boxes. Paragraph styles help.
Grid repetition uses grid systems for organization and consistency. The source acknowledges that breaking the rules of a grid system can be an effective strategy when done so thoughtfully and purposefully to emphasize key elements, but make sure you have a purpose.
Conceptual repetition strategically repeats ideas or themes to reinforce messages and aid memory. It's a powerful tool to drive home a main point, not monotonously, but by repeating key elements in different ways.
Now, rhythm, the controlled repetition of visual elements, creating flow or movement.
It can be regular, predictable, calm, or irregular, dynamic, energetic, creating a visual cadence. The Beastie Boys intergalactic analogy is great. A pause in lyrics creates a moment where the audience tunes in. Similarly, visual rhythm breaks direct the viewer's attention to the element that breaks your visual cadence, strategic disruption.
Lastly, for this section, proportion, the relative size and scale of visual elements, establishing relationships.
Hierarchy of scale states larger elements draw more attention, used to visually emphasize some of the most important elements. Sequential proportion guides the eye through a series. Harmonic proportion uses mathematical ratios like the golden ratio Fibonacci sequence, approx 1.618.1, or the rule of thirds, dividing into 9 parts, to create compositions that are often perceived as more engaging, dynamic, and visually interesting.
All right, let's explore more of the core principles of design, specifically movement, hierarchy, alignment, and space.
Movement is all about the visual path the eye takes, directing how a viewer views a piece in a certain direction or in and out of a composition. Without movement, a composition feels uninteresting and static.
It adds life, energy, and purpose, engages and directs attention. How do you create it?
Through lines, implied, curved, shapes, patterns, repetition, contrast, rhythm, scale, direction. The author's favorite is using implied lines to direct the viewer's attention.
The pick a number analogy.
Yeah, the author's hand subtly points to number 3, guiding the eye. It demonstrates how directional movement guides attention, a gentle nudge, not hypnosis. Repetition and movement shows how repeating elements create movement. Linear, wavy, spiral.
Contrast in movement makes the eye move between contrasting elements. Color in movement notes warm colors advance, cool recede, bright attracts first.
Scale in movement involves varying element sizes to create a visual path, and elements arranged around a focal point can also create a compelling path.
Next, hierarchy. The organization and prioritization of elements, guiding the viewer based on importance.
Elements have visual weight: size, color, density, texture, shape, position, which designers manipulate. Size hierarchy is the quickest. Larger elements dominate. Main images, text, or graphics should be larger.
But perception matters too, right? Like the circle versus triangle example.
Exactly. A mathematically larger circle can be perceived as the same visual weight as a smaller triangle in context. Designers sometimes need to depart from mathematics and tap into how we perceive visual weight.
Position hierarchy is about arrangement. For Western cultures, top left corner are typically seen first. The center also gets attention. Pay attention to how your viewer's eyes naturally move or create visuals to override this effect.
Then alignment. The arrangement of visual elements so their edges line up along a common boundary. It creates order, organization, cleanliness, professionalism.
Consistency is key. Avoid too many alignments on one page. A good rule. If two elements are kind of aligned, go ahead and align them fully. Failing to do so can look like a mistake, and mistakes erode trust.
Alignment hierarchy uses alignment itself for organization, like indenting text.
Finally, white space, also known as negative space or areas of visual rest, doesn't have to be white.
Its purpose is to balance a layout, establish the pacing of content, guide the viewer's eye, and enhance focus by drawing attention. Many young designers underestimate its impact. It creates clean, sophisticated, and professional-looking composition, and improves the viewer's experience. It's also useful in achieving balance, preventing parts from feeling too heavy or dense. Active, not empty space.
Let's transition into grid systems and layouts, starting with an introduction to grids.
A grid is essentially a structure to help the designer make decisions about the placement of design elements. It simplifies decision-making and leads to more accurate, organized designs.
The force breaks down the core components of a basic grid system.
Yes, these include the type area live area, main content zone, margins, top, bottom, sides, intercolumn space or gutter, space between columns, a baseline grid for text alignment, and bleed lines, artwork extension for cutting.
Now, choosing a grid type. First, the column grid.
This divides the page into vertical divisions. It offers flexibility as content can span one or multiple columns, making it applicable to newspapers, magazines, and brochures. A 3-panel brochure perfectly uses columns.
Next, the modular grid.
This divides the page into rows and columns, creating modules or spatial units. Its flexibility allows modules to be combined for varied layouts, making it applicable to responsive web design and complex print layouts like magazines or reports.
The hierarchical grid.
This one adapts to the content, featuring columns of different widths and asymmetrical layouts. It prioritizes important information by giving it greatest space, making it useful in magazine, editorial, and web design, where content naturally leads the reader. Space allocation signals importance.
The baseline grid is specifically for text alignment.
Yes, it's a basic structure used to guide the placement of text and other elements on the page. Its purpose is to create a clean and professional-looking layout, especially with multiple columns or long elements. You set line spacing, leading, so text aligns perfectly to the grid.
Lastly, the responsive grid.
This is a flexible and fluid layout that adapts to various screen sizes and orientations using percentages or flexible units. It relies on media queries to apply different styles based on device characteristics like screen width. It's crucial for mobile-first design, as headlines, text, and even font sizes must adapt for different screen widths and reading distances.
Okay, now let's explore working with page layout. The first step is considering your content.
Right, you need to create a list of items to fit into the space. Then determine the importance of your content to help you establish your visual hierarchy. Prioritize your strongest, most important pieces of information, photos, text, graphics, and build the layout around them.
If all elements are equally important,
Aim for a layout where elements take turns and complement each other. The source warns against painting yourself into a corner by not understanding content before designing. Learning from everyday designs is highly encouraged.
once content is considered, establish your layout hierarchy.
Ask yourself where you want viewers' eyes to land, and then move around the page, where you want the viewer's eyes to exit. Quick sketches, one type-heavy, one image-heavy help. Organize your thoughts, experiment with how you might order and prioritize your content. Then implement design principles using techniques like scale, color, contrast, and white space.
Next, set margins, gutters, bleeds, and trim lines. These are critical steps in ensuring the final product matches the graphic designer's intentions.
Margins provide visual space, contribute to white space, and are crucial for readability, defining a safe area. Print often needs more margin than digital. Gutters prevent content running together. Bleed lines extend artwork outside the trim line to prevent white edges after cutting. Trim lines are simply where the document will be cut.
Then, consistency is key.
Consistency ensures elements appear familiar and predictable, creating a sense of rhythm and flow. The author shares their own journey, initially breaking rules constantly, but realizing these micro decisions were completely forgettable and counterproductive.
The fireworks analogy is great here.
It is. A show establishes pace, builds intensity, then a pause, which is a setup for the grand finale, a moment when the system is broken in order to engage your senses and focus your attention.
The lesson. Consistency can set you up for a memorable and impactful grand finale. It creates expectations, offering opportunity for greater impact when and if you decide to strategically break the rules to create emphasis.
But don't abandon consistency too quickly. If breaking rules, make sure you have a purpose.
Finally, align elements consistently. Pay attention to how you align your design elements. Use a grid. Consistent alignment creates more gravitas, thoughtfulness, and trustworthiness.
Common mistakes include using too many alignments, flush left, centered right, without reason, rule of thumb. If two elements are kind of aligned, go ahead and align them fully. Failing to do so can look like a mistake. Mistakes erode trust.
Let's shift our focus to color systems. The author immediately notes that it's unlikely that you'll nail your color palette right out of the gate.
Right, it's a try it and see approach. The author shares their personal process of playing with blues until confident, emphasizing that choosing colors is a bit of a process rather than making a snap decision.
Brand recognition is key because humans recognize color faster than patterns, shapes, or textures. And the source mentions RGB, CMYK, and HEX color codes for consistency.
Next, exploring color psychology. The source provides crucial caveats. Meanings aren't fixed. They are culturally associated. Red, love, passion, and west. Cultural variation is significant. White, purity, west, mourning, east.
Many colors have dual connotations. Red, passion, danger.
So context is key to steering meaning. Choose a shade that taps into connotations and use other design elements to help build context. For example, the same red paired with a delicate script evokes love, but with a bold sans serif might convey danger.
Color hierarchy guides the eye. Primary colors, 1 to 3, are most dominant. Grab attention, drive branding.
Secondary colors, 1 to 6, support primary, provide contrast, but should not overpower. Aid recognition. Tertiary, accent colors, are least dominant for background accents, should not disrupt.
The source also revisits color contrast, referencing Itten's 7 categories, light, dark, cool, warm, complementary, simultaneous, etc., to show how differences make elements distinct and guide the eye.
When choosing primary colors, designers can reflect professional norms, medical blue, or disrupt the status quo. Analogous color combinations next to each other on wheel are harmonious. Triadic color combinations, evenly spaced, are vibrant.
The author shares a personal example for an Etsy seller. Primary blue-gray professionalism, plus soft orange approachability. Secondary monochromatic variations. Tertiary cream buttercream for backgrounds. A cohesive system.
Finally, addressing color accessibility requires thoughtfulness to ensure your content is viewable and usable by everyone. Follow WCAG guidelines.
Contrast levels are defined. AA, minimum 4.5.1, normal text 3.1 large, and AAA, enhanced 7.1, normal 4.5.1 large. Use online contrast checkers.
Design strategies for accessibility include simple sans serifs, and critically, don't rely on color alone to convey important information. Use text, shapes, patterns, icons. Yellow on white can have low contrast. Use tools like Cobbless, Color Blindness Simulator.
General tips: high contrast, legible fonts, semantic HTML, captions, keyboard navigability, testing, the mindset. Accessible design shouldn't be a begrudging afterthought. It can be elegant, beautiful, and accessible.
Well said.
Let's delve into type and typographic systems. The author notes this is an underappreciated aspect. Designers often gloss over their typographic decisions.
Yet, type choices likely impact how your message is conveyed, perceived, and remembered. Typography is more of an art than a science, and decisions are subjective.
When considering purpose, tone, and message, first step is look over your content and think about its needs. Medium, print digital is a factor, and the emotional impact of typefaces: trust, playfulness, sophistication.
The handcuffed man example illustrates how different typefaces paired with an image influence, reinforce, or change your perception of why he's there. The source notes sometimes rules are meant to be broken. An unexpected pairing can work, requiring experimentation.
The philosophy of honoring your content guides choices, key questions, hierarchy needed, specific glyphs, amount of text. These narrow the search.
Considering legibility is next, defined as how easily people can identify and interpret symbols and words. Legible typefaces are restrained, devoid of overt flourishes, balanced spacing. Readability, ease of reading text blocks, is different from legibility, typeface clarity.
Establishing typographic hierarchy is a system for organizing and prioritizing content using typographic elements. Guides readers. Research shows people process visual information faster when there is a clear hierarchy.
Elements to create hierarchy: font size, font weight, font style, color, contrast, placement position, line spacing, leading, white space. Hierarchy is a system where all the parts need to work together. Choosing a typeface with several different weights and styles is advantageous.
Limiting the number of typefaces is common wisdom. 1 or 2 typefaces. Explore type families like Helvetica No, as they are designed to work together, offering options for hierarchy.
Constraints also drive choice. Simple content might not need a full family. Specific glyphs narrow choices.
Type families and pairing complementary typefaces gives examples: serif, Times, Georgia, Sans, Helvetica, Arial. Trending examples too: Merriweather, Roboto.
Pairing strategies emphasize contrast, serif sans thick fin, complementary mood, and X-height match. Similar X-height helps with baseline grids. Goal is visual harmony. They look good together and not compete.
The importance of font size and leading is about readability. Text is meant to be read. Too small is off-putting. Too large, overwhelmed. Key advice: test your typefaces in the environment in which you are designing them. Print for print, screen for screen.
Opening up your leading vertical space makes dense text seem more accessible, improves readability. It's a balancing act. Too much is also hard to read. Testing is key.
Finally, avoiding typographic faux pas. Common mistakes.
Alignment. Using too many alignments is considered a design no-no. Limit to 1, maybe 2. Avoid centered body copy. Justified type and rivers. Justified type creates white space between words. When this aligns, it forms rivers, undesirable. Control hyphenation justification. Hanging quotes. Position quotes outside the margin for visual alignment. InDesign setting, optimal margin alignment. Wrong glyphs. Use correctly. Hyphen versus enum dash. Primes versus quotes. Ellipsis versus periods. Widows and orphans. Short last line on new page. Widow. Single line at bottom, orphan. Need to be removed, usually by editing text. Distorting type. Another graphic design no-no: avoid stretching, squishing, kerning, bad letter spacing. Nobody likes bad letter spacing. Adjust space between characters for visual consistency.
Lots of little details that make a big difference.
Yeah.
Let's move into part 3, practical top 10s, beginning with putting together your design portfolio. They're described as one of the most useful tools.
Absolutely. It shows potential employers you can talk the talk and walk the walk. It's estimated over 85% of hiring decisions are based on seeing the work in your visual portfolio.
The goal: a highly creative, relevant, and error-free graphic design portfolio to optimize your chances of landing a job you love.
First advice: focus on quality over quantity. Most portfolios feature 6 to 12 portfolio pieces. Better to have a lower number of stellar and exceptional portfolio pieces than a larger portfolio with a mix of stellar and okay pieces.
Because most people don't want to pay for meh work. Only include strongest work, often reworking pieces until just about perfect.
The author's rating system: only to include work if it ranks as an 8 or higher, otherwise the piece needs to be reworked or removed. The Amazon review analogy hits home. If we won't buy a toilet brush from Amazon that has 4 out of 5 stars, then most people won't invest big money to hire a designer whose portfolio also comes across as mediocre.
Trim the fat for a 5-star impression. Next, tailor your portfolio for your audience.
Right. Your portfolio isn't for you. It's for the creative director or hiring manager. Work shown must align with the type of job and clients that the agency works with. Branding job. Highlight branding projects. And don't forget about branding yourself. Crucially, make contact info easy to find and accessible on all your pages.
Show a range of skills. If applying for publication design, highlight that, but also other types of work that are relevant. Advertising, social media.
Avoid monotony. The web design candidate showing 9 websites in a row can be a bit bored by the monotony. Suggest including app design, banner ads, or some other relevant work. It shows versatility and adaptability.
Make your work tell your story. Portfolio work should help you tell your story. Passion, internships, unique opportunities. Don't present chronologically. Order the pieces to create a narrative.
Example narrative. First app project, learning. Social media campaign, storytelling. Internship work. Goal is memorability. I may not remember your name, but I'll remember your work, so it makes sense to try to attach your story and present yourself as a package.
Put your best work above the fold. Term for newspapers. For websites, most important elements should be placed at the top.
When clicking a thumbnail, see most compelling illustrations, photographs, and text at the top. Don't want to have to scroll down and hunt. You only have around 15 seconds or less before visitors move on. Make a great impression immediately. Choose templates with large establishing shots.
Lean into your establishing shots. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Create impressive establishing shots at the top.
Purpose. Give viewer a good sense of the significance, scope, and scale instantly. The wine bottle example. Show an impressive photograph of all 3 wine bottles together looking amazing. Establishing shots are eye candy that draw my viewer into my written and tertiary content.
Include sketches and process work for a few pieces. Employers know templates exist. Seeing how someone develops an original idea is really informative.
The author loves looking at graphic designer sketches. Solution for clutter. Scan sketches process work. Add an Adobe Acrobat link. Provides access without cluttering. 1 click away.
Keyword stuff your portfolio. Beyond SEO, keywords help you look like a great fit. It's about mirroring language, highlighting job description keywords.
Match the language the employer is using with the language I use on my resume, cover letter, and portfolio. Analogy. Adopt similar energy posture language to make someone feel at ease. Student example used a keyword density analyzer, revealing mismatches. Advice. Study the language they use and repeat it.
Finally, get a peer review. Critical to ask a peer to critique your work.
Benefits. Clarifies message, identifies errors, boosts confidence, provides a path to improve. Find someone trusted before sharing publicly. That second set of eyes can sure come in handy and may prove invaluable.
Absolutely. Now let's explore the final top 10. How AI may change graphic design. The source starts by noting that AI tools are springing up everywhere.
It gives examples, some not design-specific but relevant. AnyWord, marketing copy, Beautiful.ai presentations, Zapier Central, AI bots for tasks. These are tasks designers might interact with, and AI can expedite certain aspects.
The first major change is improved efficiency. AI can streamline workflows and automate certain tasks. Resize and cropping, background removal, color matching, pattern generation, image enhancements, file management.
Broader impact. Track changes, manage versioning, tag assets, generate mockups, assist collaboration, optimize resources, frees up designers.
AI-powered design assistants present a significant opportunity. AI can assist where designers want to maintain control. Analyzing solutions, generating variations, testing interactions, providing suggestions, gathering mood board elements, checking accessibility, tagging assets, assisting code, suggesting eco-solutions.
The author's perspective is poignant. I want AI to do my laundry and dishes so I can do art and writing, not for AI to do my art and writing so I can do my laundry and dishes. AI for task expediting, not creative offloading.
Makes sense. Advanced image recognition is another area. AI can sort images, tag photos, create advanced search, enables content-aware design to manipulators plus areas.
Also generates descriptive alt text for accessibility and can analyze images to ensure representation from a broad range of people. Backgrounds for inclusivity.
With AI-generated assets, AI can gather inspiration and mood board elements quickly, generate custom visuals through text-to-image prompting, referencing palettes, brand voices, audience preferences.
Provides alternatives to stock images, creates custom fonts and other design elements on the fly. The shift. Designers put less emphasis on how to use the tools and spend more time on the message, allowing more time for experimentation.
Dynamic adaptive design is powerful. AI analyzes user behaviors and analytics and adjusts design solutions dynamically. Websites change based on visits, clicks, scrolls.
AI adapts to time of day, weather, geographical location, adjusts layouts, fonts, images based on device. The Home Depot example. Desktop user gets product info, mobile gets store hours. AI delivers content that users need more quickly and accurately.
Optimized advertising is impacted. AI predicts engagement, matches targeted content.
Assists ad creation, audience insights, A/B testing, predictive marketing, fraud detection, performance analysis. Tools become deeper, offering deeper insights. Companies serve audiences better, offer deeper discounts.
Finally, cost reduction. ROI for simple tasks opens door for AI. The Starburst example, manually 10 minutes, $15 versus AI 45 sec.
Designers can pass these savings on to my client. AI could also create new types of jobs and roles for graphic designers, shifting the landscape.
What an illuminating deep dive. We've journeyed through the foundational principles and practical applications of graphic design, extracting key insights from our comprehensive source. We've truly seen how design is far more than just aesthetics. It's a profound problem-solving process that demands empathy, iterative thinking, and the strategic use of tools and principles.
From the seemingly simple power of a pencil and paper to the intricate dance of balance and contrast, every concept we discussed carries significant weight in shaping visual communication.
Whether you came to this deep dive looking to solve a specific problem, gain a better understanding of a fascinating field, or even explore a potential career path, we hope you now feel much more robustly informed.
Yeah, the nuances of design, from understanding your target audience through personas and empathy maps to navigating feedback and mastering software, all contribute to truly impactful solutions. It's a deep field.
And as we look to the future, with AI promising to automate and optimize more aspects of design, we're faced with a fascinating question, aren't we? If the machines can handle the efficiency and the iteration, what then becomes the unique and indispensable role of the human designer?
Right. What is the core, unquantifiable essence of human creativity that AI can only assist but never truly replicate?
Consider this. If AI can create a perfect image or layout, what is the value of the messy, chaotic, and uneasy process that the human designer embraces? And how does that process continue to drive truly novel and empathetic solutions in a world increasingly shaped by algorithms?
It's definitely something to ponder as design continues to evolve. A fascinating question to leave things on.